6. So I'm going to do a 6-minute talk about the Philadelphia 76ers just for you guys on YouTube. So you can listen to this in between your favourite radio station, which is hopefully 97.5 The Fanatics. That is the best radio for Sixers, Eagles, Phillies news for sure. So I'm a bit disappointed with the situation we've got at the moment with Doc Rivers. He's not been the best coach for us, and his rotations have been completely wrong for me. It started in the playoffs last year and it's carried into the regular season this year, so it's really frustrating for me. And I listened to Ricky Sanchez podcast the other day, and I think they hit it on the head with Paul Reed, for example. We're not utilising his skill set correctly, and it feels like Doc Rivers is doing it out of spite. And I don't think he necessarily is, right? But I do think that he certainly doesn't favour Paul Reed over some of the other players. And that's frustrating for me because he's risking our win-loss column. And for me, the regular season doesn't start really until Christmas. But where you are around the Christmas Day, going into Christmas Day game, if you're a 7th or 8th seed, the likelihood is you're going to finish around that position. You might get to 5th or 4th, but you're not going to. It's very unlikely you're going to be a top 3 seed team unless you're on a miraculous run and maybe you've had loads of bad injuries. But it's very unlikely. And for me, we got the best depth we've ever had in my Sixer fandom, and I think we got one of the top 5-6 benches in the league, but they're not being utilised correctly, and that's down to Rivers. Rivers is very lucky that our Philadelphia Eagles are 8-0 and a legit Super Bowl contender, especially after the weekend, seeing the Bills lose and the Chiefs struggle. Everyone's saying about this weak schedule that the Eagles have had, but you got to beat who's in front of you. And also the fact that our fantastic Philadelphia Phillies got to the World Series and they did really well, won a couple of games, smashed it in was it game 3? No, game 4. And we went 2-1 up, and it was it was so frustrating to see us throw the last 2 home games. It was game 3, and then go to Houston. For me it was over when we went back to Houston 3-1 down. But we really should be, sort of celebrating how well the Phillies have done. And I think once we've done that over the next couple of days, we're going to start reflecting on the Sixers a lot more, because they'll be number 2 in our minds, right? They're going to be the second ones that are being mentioned in all the columns and all of the social media, etc., etc. Tonight's game is really crucial for Doc Rivers, because if we lose tonight, when Embiid's probably going to be back and they've got no Cam Johnson, he's going to be in for a bit of a rough ride this week, because every loss this week will be very sort of closely watched by everyone. Analysis from the main Philadelphia sports media that aren't just the beat writers, the Philadelphia fans that are 4 for 4 or 5 for 5 because Union took away some stuff. So whenever a team's doing really well and you're a massive fan of multiple teams in the city or worldwide, it's really hard to try to focus on a regular season game early in the season. But I'm quite critical of this, and I think, unfortunately, this 6 minutes that I want to do today is going to be a rant and not really positive. But Rivers has to change his rotation patterns. That Knicks game was kind of, because it's fresh in memory, it's easy to go back to, but it kind of just sums up Doc Rivers. Why do you let them score 4 times, maybe 5 times in the paint before you then make a change? It just wasn't working, and that cut our lead down and cost us the game in the end. And it's just because he didn't want to bring on Harold. I don't know, I thought Harold was one of his guys because he worked with him before and stuff like that. So, but yeah, we needed a rim protector and we didn't have that. And that was the most frustrating thing, is we had a player sat there on the bench that was capable of preventing what happening. Not saying it wouldn't have changed the outcome, it might not have, but for me, I think it would have. Based on my, my eyes and what I've seen in basketball since I've been watching it hardcorely since 2008, and in particular my Sixers. So yeah, very disappointed with Mr. Rivers, and I think he is in big trouble if we go on a couple of games, next couple of games, and we lose and we go on another losing streak. So for me, what we need to do now is focus on getting Embiid healthy again. I do think he plays tonight, and I think he'll have a big game, but getting him back and healthy, and then really trying to build this squad into the contender that it should be and is on paper. So for me, I'm going to go over Sixers win tonight and Embiid drops 30. That's going to be my prediction for tonight. However, I wouldn't be surprised if we lose the game and we go on a nice little run, get a lead, and then we blow it because Rivers is trying something stupid out with his rotations. And I forgave him for the first few games because it was a new bench, new team, but he should know by now who goes in and where. And I'm not even a qualified basketball coach, but even I know having a big guy actually protecting the rim and playing the 5, not PJ Tucker, will stop teams from scoring in the paint. Anyway, enough of the rant. Let's end on a high note. My next video will be Eagles in 8, Sixers in 6, Eagles in 8. Do you see what I'm doing there? Good. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hopefully you can watch this in between listening to 97.5, and hopefully I'll interact with some of you soon on either Discord or on YouTube, social media, wherever I hear you from. Thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.